Welcome to another episode of Total Football Talk. I'm Anthony,
Yeah, I'm Eric.
and we're gonna dive into the preview of the game. So earlier today, it's Saturday. I'm gonna be posting the post game stuff, the review for last week, and then Sunday morning I'll be posting this one. So we're gonna start from the top. The Titans at the Chargers. Interesting matchup. These are two teams.
We got a game that's already been played on Thursday.
Yeah, we kind of covered that one already. I mean, we said last night that Denver was going to win, and they did.
Right. Actually, Denver won 45-10. Josh Rosen looked like poop. Von Miller came out of the defense looking like a beast, as we all know he is.
Yep.
And I will tell you all guys something that I told Anthony after the game, that Philip Lindsay looked really good. He had 90 yards rushing. Well, he should have. We could have even had more if not for a holding penalty. But he wears number 30. If you guys remember the number 30 on Denver for running back, you all remember Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
So Philip Lindsay asked Terrell Davis, hey, can I wear your number? And apparently, he really liked Philip Lindsay. You know, he liked the way he ran the ball. He liked his hustle. He liked everything about the kid. He's like, yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
The Broncos defense showed up. The Cardinals fired their offensive coordinator. Hey, congratulations, Mike McCoy. Not even two seasons you could finish.
You know, I want to touch on this a little bit.
But hold on. It's not Mike McCoy's problem.
Yeah.
It's not. You're putting a used Band-Aid over when you've already torn it off like 2 or 3 times.
Oh.
So what the Cardinals have done is they promoted Byron Leftwich. I'm a big Byron Leftwich fan. Anthony can tell you that.
Yep.
You know, I was high on Byron Leftwich when he was even at Marshall. But yeah, he's now the offensive coordinator, so we'll see what he can bring to the table. But this Cardinals team is such a disarray.
7-3. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just doing some quick math. You know, the thing that bothers me about all of this is you fire the offensive coordinator during the season. And I get why teams do it, but Steve Keim should be fired at the end of this year. The man has not had a solid draft in God knows how long. He has not been able to figure out this coaching thing at all. I mean, he got lucky with Bruce Arians and then was caught with his pants down when Bruce Arians was going to retire, knowing that Bruce Arians was going to retire. Made no real effort to go after, any other coaches, especially in the college ranks, which there's a few out there that could really, do a better job than Wilks did. And what really kills me is I heard this yesterday. Oh, that if Arians had retired the year before, that the Cardinals were really considering Sean McVay. Yeah, I buy that just like I buy oceanfront property in Arizona. Real easy to say now after the fact, A, when Arians wasn't even contemplating retirement that year, and B, seeing what McVay has done over the last 2 years, it's real easy to say that now. But the reality was you didn't and you weren't and you're lying. So, and not only that, Eric, but Steve Keim hasn't shown the knack for being able to find that kind of a talent out of nowhere at all. So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it a single bit. And I think that Wilks should be gone. I think the GM should be gone. And I think the new GM should be able to come in and have a clean slate as far as what he wants to bring in to the organization. Because the Cardinals, they're abysmal. And I am sick. I can't watch Cardinal games. And this guy has no ability to clock manage. He doesn't have control of his team. In the second week of the season, he was yelling at one of his players, and they kind of gave him the proverbial, get away from me, man, shut up. Like, he lost his team in week 2 of the regular season. And then you're going to put this on McCoy. See, I was raised that the buck stops here. And when you're the head man of an organization, that ship sinks or swims due to your ability to manage it. And Wilks has shown no ability to manage this football team. He doesn't even look like he knows what he's doing. How do you take a top 5 defense and turn it into what this has become? That's one. Here's a second thought, Eric. Okay, Deo Buchanan, he can't find a place for this guy on the field. then A, you need to trade him, and B, you need to be fired. He is too talented of a player to not be able to find a spot for him on your field.
Well, he's already been rumored to be on the trade block.
Well, he better be, because he could do infinitely better somewhere else. I digress. Titans, Chargers. If you want to go back to the Houston Oilers, then the Oilers and Chargers have quite the history. If you do what I do and pretty much don't count Tennessee football until they move to Tennessee, I don't count any of the Oiler records. That belongs in Houston. Then these two don't have much of a history. But this is an interesting matchup. I'm sure that when we look at the records, this all-time series record, they're going to include Houston. So, Eric, what's the all-time series between these two?
All-time series record, and they do include Houston, is 27-17-1. The Chargers have won 10 of the last 11 games.
Wow.
Last Titan win was in 2013, and if you only date this back from the Chargers to the Titans, then, well, you also had in 1998 where they had the Tennessee Oilers because they played in Memphis that year.
Yeah.
And they hadn't renamed it to the Titans, so the Titans have only beaten the Chargers once.
Wow.
They've tied once. They've won once.
Well, I think when we look at this game, and I think you'll agree with me on this, when you look at this matchup, I mean, the Chargers have all the advantages. This game's in London, so ultimately we'll see what the travel looks like. But I just think that the Chargers' running game right now is clicking on all cylinders. I think their passing game is then opening up because of Gordon's running. Eckler can't be overlooked. The Chargers' defense is getting healthier, although they're still without Bosa, if I remember correctly. And with the way the Titans looked last week at home against Baltimore, I don't know if it's going to be much better in London against San Diego. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm not.
You mean LA?
What'd I say?
San Diego, like the 900th time you said it.
Well, they're going to San Diego next year anyway. We've already established that in the last show. So, yeah, the San Diego Chargers should win this game. You didn't beat the Rams in LA, so you don't get the LA moniker. That's going to be the deal, okay? So, for my Charger buddy out there.
So should the Jets change their name to the New Jersey Jets if they don't beat the Giants?
No, because that's been around for a while. But the Chargers have not been in LA. They came there after the Rams. They tried to steal it from the Rams early on with the Raiders. So the deal is, I had to sing the Charger fight song if the Rams lost. And if the Rams win, which they did, then I get a call on the San Diego Chargers. So I'm picking the San Diego Chargers to win by the final score. I'm not going to go with a score. I mean, this could go anywhere. It could either be a blowout or it could be really close because Tennessee does still have at least – they have pieces to keep it close. But, I won't be surprised if the Chargers win this game by 10 points.
Here's the beauty part of this game. It's on at 8:30 Central Standard Time, which means it's on at 6:30 your time.
Yep.
Because they're starting early in London, which is great. Because you know what? It's actually on. It's on all. Everybody's going to get this game on CBS. So thank you. I know what I'm doing early in the morning.
Yeah, brother.
And,
You're damn right.
Tennessee. I don't know which Tennessee is showing up. I don't know if I'm going to have like maybe 7 different Jekyll and Hyde teams this year.
Right.
But the Chargers, they keep pounding the ball with Gordon and Eckler, and Keenan Allen's been struggling, but he usually turns it on around this time. I look for a big game from him, and I do expect Tennessee to get a couple of scores, but I got the Chargers winning this game.
Cleveland at Tampa Bay. This is an interesting series. I know the Browns own this series, but I'll let Eric say what the overall record is. I think Jameis Winston is going to come crashing down to earth. And I say that because the Browns defense this year, with the exception of maybe one game, has played really well against quarterbacks. And I don't think that the Buccaneers have enough ability on offense. They're too one-dimensional. They're a passing team only. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it right now. I think the Browns are going to win this game. I won't be surprised if it's, 24-14, 24-20 type of game. But I think the Browns have the advantage here on multiple fronts. One, they're more of a balanced team. They just traded Carlos Hyde to Jacksonville. So that's going to free up Chubb to get more carries, which I think is going to be huge. Um, and I think that their passing game is starting to come around with Baker Mayfield, and that defense is just way better than anything Tampa's seen at this point this year. Your take?
It's a very interesting game to me only because it's in Tampa. Browns are still trying to find themselves. Browns lead the series 6-3 all time. Tampa has won 3 of the last 4, but lost the last meeting in Cleveland back in 2014 by only 5 points. Typically, they play some tough games. There really hasn't been a blowout except for back in '83 when the Browns shut out the Buccaneers 20-0. I see this game being close in the first half and Tampa pulling away in the second half. I think too much Mike Evans. I think the Buccaneers offensive line is going to give them a little bit extra time for Winston to pass the ball. And I think they're actually going to also unleash Peyton Barber. I think they found something last week in rushing Barber and what he was able to do. And, the Browns defense is a lot better as far as improved from last year. But they don't have the pass rush that they're looking for. Myles Garrett hasn't stepped up. I've been hearing Bradley Chubb's name more this year than I have of Myles Garrett. I've heard Garrett's name once, and that was in the game against the Jets.
Yeah.
It's been really quiet ever since. But I got the Bucs winning this game by a touchdown or less.
Disagreed on that one. All right. Carolina at Philly. This is the game that Philadelphia really came out of the gate in. Once they won this game, they really seemed to take off and find themselves. I think that they're starting to find their rhythm as it is. I don't think Carolina is as good of a football team on the road. I think that the Eagles give them matchup fits. Eric, what is the all-time series here?
All-time series, the Eagles lead 7-4. Their last meeting was last year.
Yep.
And the Eagles won by 5 in Carolina.
Yeah, I think
Typically it's an every other win for each team, but the Eagles won 3 straight from 04 to 09, and then it's between those 3 wins in a row for Philly. It's been a win-loss. So if we go by that, Carolina is predicted scheduled to win this game.
I don't think they're going to, though. I think Philly gives them matchup problems. I think their front 4 are a problem for Cam Newton, and I think that their back 4 in particular, their secondary is matches up well against Carolina's wide receivers. I'm going to go Philly here. I'm going to say Philly wins this game 31-21.
I see Cam Newton have a big rushing day, and I see that because I don't see McCaffrey having a big day unless it's receiving through the air because of the Eagles' front 4. So I think Cam gets on the outside and he has a big rushing day. 65 yards and a touchdown for Cam on the ground. Eagles, 2 cornermans, one of them being Ronald Darby, they really struggled actually this year. They haven't played the same way as they did last year. But however, I don't see Funchess having a good game. I don't see DJ Moore having a good game. And maybe if they implore the 2 tight ends set with Thomas and Olsen, they might actually have they might actually get a lot of good looks down the seam. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the Eagles win this game by 6. I'm thinking like 27-21, 30-24 type of game. The Eagles just have so much firepower, and Wentz is looking really good lately. They had a great game last week against the Giants, 3 touchdown passes, and I think he's starting to get back and see a big game between him and Ertz and him and Jeffrey because Aguilar's 91 yards last week were flukes. The way they broke out for him, and the running game needs a lot of help. I know they've been rumored to get LaShawn McCoy, but that's what it is. It's just a rumor. The Eagles don't want to pay a high price. And what they really need to do is hope Corey Clement is their go-to guy. Because if he can't do it, Smallwood can't do it, Sproles is out. So they need to find a run game somewhere. But,
Well,
the Eagles tough this one
I'm going to tell you right now, if Philly can't run the ball this week and they end up eking out a victory, okay, and then next week in Jacksonville they continue not be able to run the ball and they lose the game, I think Philadelphia doesn't waste any time. I think we find out that McCoy is an Eagle before the Monday Night Football game.
The Bills are asking for a second-round pick.
I think that the Eagles may be more inclined to give it up if they realize that they're not going to have a running game all year long. You know, I think they're hoping. I think you're right. I think they're hoping Clement will find himself and they'll be okay. But a second-round pick, in my opinion, is not a lot to ask.
We'll see if the Eagles pay that price.
Minnesota at the Jets. I think this game's going to be an interesting one to watch. It's actually going to be kind of fun to watch. I think in the end the Vikings are going to win this game. I think Minnesota is just way better on offense, and the Jets defense, although they've looked good the last few weeks. I think they're going to have some problems against that Viking defense. But I will tell you that this is going to be one of those games that if you happen to get it on TV and you're watching it, you're not going to be disappointed. I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. I could see the Vikings winning this game 27-24 in overtime. I'm calling it right now. I don't normally call overtime games, but I could see that happening in this game just because I think that the Vikings are vulnerable to the run, at least this year. The Jets can run the football, and if Sam Darnold is careful with the football, then I think that the Jets have a puncher's chance to stay in it all the way to the end. Eric?
I literally just missed peeing my pants looking at the all-time record on this series. It's the Jets lead the series 8-2. The Vikings won back in 1975, 29-21 in Minnesota, and then they won 4 years ago in Minnesota in overtime, 30-24. Besides those two games, it's been all Jets.
Wow.
I don't know how. I have no idea, but I think actually Minnesota gets their third win of the series this week. They are actually they're playing in the Meadowlands, so this game is a little bit tougher to call. But I think Minnesota pulls this one out by field goal. I think you're going to see a lot. I think you're going to see a really good passing day from Sam Darnold, your all-time best quarterback, and you're going to see a big game out of Jermaine Kearse. I always say that because I think about fantasy, and I'm hoping he's got like a 330-yard receiving day.
Yeah.
And like 6 touchdowns. But I guess one can dream. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how this Vikings defense responds to a two-headed monster of Crowell and Powell, and then throwing to Anderson and Jermaine Kearse. Now Kearse is going to line up a lot in the slot. There's going to be no Nunnell in this game. There's going to be no Terrell Pryor in this game for the Jets. So, Sam Darnold, I think, is going to be throwing the ball a lot, and you can throw on this Vikings defense.
You can.
Even run on this Vikings defense. It's not the Vikings defense from 2 years ago, last year.
No, it's not.
But let's look on the other side of the ball. I think the reason why the Vikings win this game is Cousins and Thielen.
Yeah.
They can't trust Cook. They can't trust Murray. I know what Murray did last week, but that's different. That was against the worst rush defense in football. And just Cousins to Diggs, Cousins to Rudolph. I think it's going to be a big passing day for Kirk Cousins. Now, depending on the weather, I don't know what that's going to be like as of right now, but I think the Vikings pull this one up. I could see overtime and getting that field goal in overtime, but I'll take Minnesota to win this game in regulation. Although if it did go to overtime, goodness, we can't talk. Then I would definitely hope the Vikings tie again.
Yeah. It helped the Bears, right?
Yeah, right.
All right.
It's not really help the Bears this week. So
Well, you want to talk about a lopsided series? Take a look at the Dolphins Lions series.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh.
I probably shouldn't really be surprised. That's actually not as bad as you think.
Really?
All-time series, Dolphins lead 7-4.
Well, that's not bad.
And the Lions have won the last two after being on a 5-game losing streak. This is actually a series of streaks. So the Dolphins won the first two, the Lions won the next two, the Dolphins won the next five, and the Lions have won the next two.
Well, the Dolphins are about to start a new streak because I'm picking Miami to win this game. Look, I know that you were upset with the Dolphins game last week, okay? And I told you, and I know that you said I sugarcoated it, and there's no sugarcoating it, but I'm telling you, remember the beginning of the year, I picked the Dolphins to be a playoff team, to compete. I actually picked Miami to win the division and New England to be the wild card. So I'm high on Miami for a lot of different reasons. Is Tannehill playing this week?
No, Tannehill's out for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so it's going to be the Kenyon Drake show. I'm telling you right now. And Frank Gore. I think that the Dolphins are going to pound the rock against the Lions' run defense. They're going to run all day on them. I think that defense is going to force Matthew Stafford into a few picks. And I think that at the end of the day, I think Miami's going to win this game, probably running away 34-21. Stafford's good for 3 touchdowns, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be a total whitewash, but I think Miami is going to run the ball, especially with the loss of Tannehill. They're going to throw the ball on short screens, much like they did, or short passes, much like they did last week. They might find their speedster on a seam, but I think by and large, they're going to figure out maybe we can get something for Devontae Parker and trade him, because I don't think he's going to be much of a presence in this game either. But I do think that they're going to utilize the running game, and I think that when you look at the Dolphins' offensive line versus the Lions' defensive line, it really is one of the bigger mismatches we've seen all year long. And, on the flip side of it, the Dolphins' defensive line against the Lions' offensive line isn't much better. We've seen bigger mismatches on that side for sure, but it's an advantage Miami. And when you control the trenches and you're home, I just think it's going to be Miami. I won't be surprised if it's close early and Miami pulls away and then they score a garbage touchdown at the end, or if Miami ends up just kind of taking a big lead and then Stafford does what he always does and makes a game of it. But I'm going Miami 34, Lions 21.
And here's the only reason why I'm picking the Dolphins. It's going to be 90 degrees in South Beach, and the Lions' bench is going to be fully entrenched in the sun.
Yeah.
And the Lions are 0-2 on the road. Listen, I think Stafford to Galladay and Stafford and Tate could have a huge game.
Yeah.
I don't see a big game from Kerryon Johnson. I don't see a big game from LeGarrette Blount, but I think that Stafford actually keeps the Lions in this game. I think the Lions can actually do a better job of getting to Osweiler, and maybe if he has another couple of turnovers, the Lions can capitalize and come away with a victory. But I do agree with you more on Frank Gore getting the better handle on the ball and having more rushing yards than Drake. But unless Osweiler hits Nick O'Leary, like 5-6 times, and he also hits Albert Wilson or Kenny Stills deep a couple of times, they're definitely going to pull away with a win. I think this is going to be more of a hard-fought, low-scoring game, and the Dolphins win by 7 or less. And also I want to add, I know we're doing this on a Saturday, and we're done with the college show, but I am watching Fox Sports 1 right now, a game between Wisconsin and Illinois, and it is snowing.
Awesome.
It's ridiculously snowing in Madison, Wisconsin. To give you guys an idea, I live approximately 2 hours south of Madison, and there's no snow where I am. So yeah, fun times in college football right now. But as far as the Dolphins go, they need to win this week because the Patriots are most likely going to win as well. So they need to stay above them as long as they can.
I'm going to get to that in a couple of minutes. That's going to be the final 1 o'clock game that I cover. Buffalo at Indy. This series fascinates me. When the Bills were going to 4 straight Super Bowls, the one team in the AFC East that they seemed to struggle with, really from 87 to 95, minus the 91 and 90 season. There was a 2-year system there where they kind of controlled it. The Colts gave them fits. I'm real curious to know what the all-time series is with this, considering they were in the same division for years. But I think Andrew Luck is due to have a good game. I think T.Y. Hilton is, if he's back, is obviously going to help, but if he's not back, I don't think it's going to hurt Indy. I think the Colts are in a position now where, look, I can't in good conscience pick Frank Reich to lose to his former team that he played for at home when they're struggling like they are in Buffalo, and the Colts are showing a real good signs of fighting. I know they had a bad loss last week at the Jets, but this is at home, and I'm gonna go Indy here, and I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it's gonna be like a 21-17, maybe even 21-20. I think it's gonna be down to the wire, but I think ultimately it's gonna be an Andrew Luck game-winning drive that's gonna separate the two, and give the Colts their second victory of the year. I think Buffalo's gonna play hard. I know Peterman's probably starting, which you might be thinking, well, why in the hell would you make it so close? Because the Colts don't really do well against the run. And I think Shady McCoy is going to get a lot of carries because they're not going to want to put the ball in Peterman's hands. And I think that's going to be why it's close, because the Colts do struggle against the run. So I'm going to go Indy in a close one, but I think it's going to be a fun game. E, take it away.
All right. The Buffalo Bills with the all-time series, 37-31-1.
Wow.
The Colts have lost the last 3 of 4. They last met in December last year, with the Bills winning in overtime on a touchdown, 13-7.
In the snow.
In the snow. The Colts won their last home game against the Bills 6 years ago, around Thanksgiving weekend. They won by a touchdown. All right, let me just correct everything that you pretty much said. A, this game won't be close. You're going to see a blowout, and it's going to be a blowout by halftime. B, T.Y. Hilton is back. Of course, he won't hurt the Colts. He will help the Colts. C, media people, and this is the only time I actually agree with that, use the word mutiny if Nathan Peterman started. Nathan Peterman is not starting.
Oh, wow.
Eric Anderson.
That's right.
10 days ago.
That's right.
Is starting.
That's right.
Okay. In practice, he has severely underthrew a lot of deep routes. I sense a lot of turnovers in this game. I sense a lot of Colts offense on the field. I see a lot of throws falling short, hitting the turf from when the Bills are on offense. Andrew Luck has a coming out party for 2018. I know he's been playing really well of late, and he's had a lot of good games, statistically speaking. And some of those good games really need to turn into wins for him. This is a turning point right here. This is where the Colts make it interesting in the AFC South. You're going to get your two-headed monster of Hines and Mack for Indianapolis to get running the ball, but that's not what Indy does. It's not. They haven't really ran the ball since they've had Edgerrin James, maybe even Dominic Rhodes, if you want to go there.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
Hold on. Frank Gore as well. I'm sorry. Frank Gore was home for a long time, so he had a lot of good games. But Frank Gore still ran with in his early years with Peyton and now with Luck. And what do Colts quarterbacks like to do? They like to throw the ball. Luck is basically just coming in after Peyton, and they just love to throw the ball.
Well, let me make a correction on you here. Frank Gore never ran with Peyton Manning. He's only run with Andrew Luck.
Okay, but I misspoke. So with that being said, I see more like I'm ready to. This is going to be kind of like a Frank Reich score, 35-3.
Prior to the comeback? All right.
There's no comeback.
Yeah, there's no comeback in Buffalo.
There's no comeback, but yes, prior to the comeback, 35-3.
Look, I don't know. I mean, I think the Bills, they've been surprising people. When they should get blown out, they're winning and playing good. Look, it could happen. I'm not going to disagree. And it's not like they've got their quarterback playing in this game, so that makes it more complicated. All right, listen, Houston at Jacksonville. I'm really curious, Eric, because I don't know. What is the all-time series with this one?
Give me 1 second. Oops. I don't like to hear the word oops.
Yeah, me neither.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
So while you're looking this up, I'm going to talk about a few things here. I really believe that the game against Dallas last week was kind of the kick in the groin that the Jags needed. They were kind of believing their own press. They were kind of believing their own hype. They kind of figured they'd come out of it. I think they went into Dallas going, there's no way those wide receivers can beat us. We are infinitely more talented on the opposite side of the ball. We're going to be able to do some things here. We're going to be fine. Well, guess what? They're not. And they weren't. And they got embarrassed. And they got humiliated in Dallas. And to have a Texas team come to their house a week after getting embarrassed in Texas, I think this spells bad news for Houston. A Houston team that barely beat Buffalo last week is now going to get a hungry, angry Jacksonville team. I think Blake Bortles is going to have a bounce-back game. I think that they're going to get pressure on Deshaun Watson. The Texans cannot run the football, so they're only going to be able to throw the ball in one dimension against a good defense. I think I'm gonna make a bold prediction right here. If the Jaguars don't win this game, Jacksonville does not make the postseason this year. That's how important this game is to Jacksonville. I'm going to say Jacksonville wins it 27-21. I think it's going to be a nip and tuck game, but I think it's going to come down to a couple of key third down conversions and sustaining the clock. Eric?
So the all-time series record is that the Texans lead 19-13. And, of course, this series only dates back to 2002.
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguars have won the last two. They swept the season series last year. Before that, the Texans won 6 straight from 2014 through 2016. So the Jaguars have had their hands full with the Texans.
But they've been a bad team through most of those years.
Yeah, they have. They have. They actually won 11 of the last 13. The Texans have before the sweep last year by the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying on all fronts. Listen, all Jacksonville has to do is say, okay, here's how we're going to scout the Texans. Let's watch what the Buffalo Bills do, because our defense is better than Buffalo on pretty much any given day. Yes, we got shredded by Dallas, but you know what? We're home. So let's take that into consideration. Let's let Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye cover DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. We can live with Kiki Kuti, beating us over the middle, but Houston can't block anybody on the offensive line. So, with that being said, I see a long day for Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson on his back, trying to recover. It's probably best if maybe they didn't start Deshaun Watson just so they could save him for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah.
I do think though that that the Texans keep it close, but the Jaguars do pull away. So I'm thinking like a 31-20 game. I like the 27-21 game, but I think they score a little bit more, 31-20. You can score in the Texans defense. You can neutralize Watt and Merciless and Clowney. Just get the ball out quick. That's all you got to do if you're Bortles. And just make sure you don't throw a pick six, because if you throw a pick six, this game could really swing the other way.
Here's what I say to that, Eric. I don't think they should bench Deshaun Watson this week. I think they should play him. I think what they should do.
Absolutely.
I think that they should play him this next week too against Miami. But I think after the Dolphin game, they should bench him for the Bronco game just to get him right. Because after the Bronco game in Week 9, they have a bye week. So you'd really give him 2 weeks to heal in preparation for a game which would be his first game in 3 weeks. And when they come back out of the bye, Houston is playing Washington in Washington, who is a beatable team. So I think that would be a better approach than that. All right, Eric, the all-time series between the Bears and Patriots is ugly. Read it.
All-time series. New England Patriots lead 9-4. The last Bears win was December of 2000, 24-17. Guess what, people? It was before Tom Brady.
Yeah.
4 games afterwards, in 2002, 2006, 2010, and 2014, have all been Patriot wins. You know who's been at the quarterback for those games? Yes, Tom Brady. You know how many points they averaged per game in those 4 wins? Try 34.25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Look.
Okay, just in case you were wondering.
Okay.
So, with that being said, the Patriots already have the blueprint because all they have to do is just see what they saw in Kansas City and say, okay, well, Trubisky's trying to be like Mahomes, and this guy's trying to be like that guy, and this guy's trying to be like that guy. So if we can beat them, we can easily beat them. Problem is, you're going on the road to Chicago, but that doesn't matter. Tom Brady, if this is really his last game coming to Chicago, he goes off with a victory. And I'm saying this is going to be closer to a 41-27 game.
See, Eric,
so they're going to keep it close.
You're talking emotional.
Not enough.
You're talking emotional. Look.
Okay. Listen, I know this Bears team. Listen, the Bears had a better offensive and defensive team when the Patriots came to play the Bears in Chicago in 2010. And they were all talking Bears. They were all talking upset. Cover was playing great, okay? His offensive line was playing great. I'm like, oh, okay. And the weather, the weather's going to be cold, and it's going to be snowy, and this, that, and the other thing. And there was a lot of hype around this game. And just so, the Bears had a great year that year, okay? Obviously, it's not the same Bears team, okay? Patriots are loaded on offense. The Bears can score on their defense. I have no qualms about that. That's going to happen. The Bears are not going to get shut out. But the Bears don't have enough to stop the Patriots when they're on defense.
Here's the deal. Eric, this is why I'm going here. You've got a stationary quarterback who can't throw the deep ball and hasn't been able to all year long.
He doesn't need to.
Okay. The problem...
If you want to neutralize the Bears' pass rush, you throw screen passes to James White. You throw quick out routes to Julian Edelman. Why do you think Edelman and Gronk are going to have big games this week?
What I think is going to happen is I think that the Patriots are going... Look, the Bears know that too, Eric. It's not like they're going to go in and go, we're going to go cover 3 and prevent and just have our guys 10 yards off the ball and try to read what Tom Brady's going to do. When you have a quarterback that can only throw short and you've got a pass rush like the Bears do, you can really bring things to the forefront and go, okay, we're going to jam at the line because even if they beat us off the jam, he can't make that throw. And with Khalil Mack coming around the edge, is he going to have time to make that throw? Look, I'm not saying that the Patriots are going to get shut out. I'm not saying that the Patriots aren't going to score their fair share of points. What I am saying is going to happen is at some point in the game, in the fourth quarter, like the Super Bowl, Brady's going to get strip sacked. The Bears are going to turn that into points, and that's going to be the deciding factor. I think that the Bears can move the ball. And you know what I think the Bears can do better than the Chiefs did? Run the ball. I think you're going to see Tariq Cohen utilized in the passing game, and it's going to be the Howard show up the gut and off tackle. And I think that the Bears are going to put up 27 points. I think that the Patriots are going to put up 27 points, and I think there's going to be a strip sack at the end of that game, either while the Patriots are driving or in Bear territory or Patriot territory. The Bears are going to recover, and they're going to kick a field goal with like 25 seconds to go. And they're just going to put everybody back and go, okay, we know you can't throw deep, so do your best. And they're going to win this game 30-27. It's my upset pick of the week because I don't think the Bears are going to come back from that loss to Miami feeling, defeated. And I certainly don't think that a one-dimensional passing game is going to tear shreds apart a defense as good as the Bears. Because now, look, I'm going to throw a caveat out there. If the Bears aren't playing press coverage and they're not molesting the wide receivers at the line of scrimmage, then the Patriots are going to blow them out. Because that's just the dumbest defensive strategy you can do. Because you're right, Peyton Manning will pick you apart. Or Peyton Manning. Tom Brady will pick you apart. But if they play smart, if they play press, and they force Chicago forces the Patriots to throw deep, even intermediate to deep routes he struggles with. Unless he's throwing a Gronk. And I do think Gronk is going to have a big game, and that's why I think it's going to be nip and tuck all the way. I'm telling you, dude, I got a gut feeling this is going to be an upset. I thought this rivalry was like 14-1 Patriots. I didn't realize it was this close. Even 9-4, you're only 5 games back. But I'd be curious to see if that pans out. But I just think that the only way the Bears lose this game is if they play a defensive style that doesn't match their opponent. Which, look, I'll be the first to admit, coaches do this all the time in the NFL. This is why I don't mean to brag, but if I was in the NFL, I would be as dominant, if not more dominant, than Bill Belichick. Because I don't play and coach the way these idiots do. I don't know what these guys are doing half the time. You're watching film, and it's like you base your game plan off a guy's reputation rather than the guy's playing ability at this moment in time. Would I play that style of offense against Tom Brady 5 years ago? Hell no. But I'm not going to play any other style against Tom Brady right now. I just think it's going to be interesting to see. You get that game, Eric, so you need to text me and let me know how the Bears are playing. I want you to tell me if the Bears corners...
You have the dish.
I do. That's true. I have the dish. But I'm going to be watching well, maybe. Okay.
Oh, you're going to be watching your Browns. Got it.
Probably. For a little bit. But I'll tune into that game. And I'm telling you, Eric, if their corners are playing press, you're in good shape. If they're playing 5 to 10 yards off, you're screwed. You'll know within the first offensive play of the game how the Bears are going to do when the Patriots are on 0. All right. Speaking of bad streaks, Drew Brees has never beaten the Baltimore Ravens. Did you know that?
Only team he's ever beaten.
Yep. And guess what? Unless he retires at the end of this year, he's going to have to wait till the next time he plays him because he ain't beating him this year. Baltimore showed me a lot against Tennessee, but what I've been more impressed with Baltimore has been their ability to score. And this Saint defense, it's woeful. It's getting better, but it's been woeful. And I think that Joe Flacco is going to have a big game, but watch out for the running game in Baltimore. But more importantly, I think that the Ravens can play good enough defense to maintain. They're at home. I'm going Ravens in this one, and I'm going to go high scoring. I'm going to say 38-31 Ravens.
So the all-time series is that the Ravens lead 5-1, and the Saints haven't beaten the Ravens since '99. Their only victory. In the last game that they played, in which the Ravens won by a touchdown by the score of 34-27, Drew Brees threw for 420 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had a pick. Flacco threw for 243 and a touchdown. The biggest difference in the game was none other than Justin Forsett, who had 182 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
Dude was a beast for Baltimore. Well, there's no more Justin Forsett. There is an Alvin Kamara. There is a Mark Ingram. And Flacco has a bunch of wide receivers who have been known to drop the ball, and one speedster who can get behind the Saints defense. And that's what it's going to take for Baltimore to win this game. Oh, and Baltimore's got a heck of a lot better defense. So, Drew Brees, say hi to Terrell Suggs, because you guys might both be retiring around the same time, and both might be going into camp around the same time as well.
Yeah.
I see this as a shootout, a 41-37 game for Baltimore. It would be the highest scoring game of the series if that were to happen. I don't know what else to say. Drew Brees will get his 500th touchdown pass in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. He actually might pass Tom Brady, depending on how many Brady throws against the Bears. But I like Baltimore's defense stepping up when they need to, and the Saints are a lot different team when they're on the road outside of Cozy Dome. So that's why I like Baltimore winning this game.
Yeah, I think the home field makes a difference. Look, I really don't want to talk about this game. I don't want to know the all-time series on this game, but I'm going to let you share it. The Redskins and Cowboys.
Yeah, not even close. Dallas leads the all-time series with 70 wins, 44 losses, and 2 ties.
70 wins, 44 losses. Jesus.
Yeah, the Redskins have lost the last 4, so they've been swept last year and in 2016. Their last win was looks like week 17 of 2016. during the 2015 season. They got an 11-point win at Dallas, then lost 2 more before that, won an overtime game before that, lost 2 more again, won 2 in 2012, and then lost 3 in a row, and 6 of the last 7 before that. So
here's
not so many good streaks for the Redskins. But as I mentioned before, how the Redskins, well, they're playing at home in this game, so this is a good measuring stick on how they can play. And especially when the Cowboys team was coming off a big win, I think, in their estimation against the Jacksonville team that they thought they might have a tough time with. But again, Washington, as you might have heard me last show, are a 500 team when it comes to games. 1-1 in the last 2, 2-2 in the last 4, 3-3 in the last 6. You guys get the idea.
So here's what I call this weekend. I call this Cowboys-Redskins rivalry weekend. Because I don't think, and I'm a Ram fan, okay? And I love the rivalry against San Francisco, which, by the way, is also this weekend. But I don't think, and I'm sorry, Eric, I know you're going to disagree with the Bears and Green Bay, but I don't think there's a better rivalry in football. This, to me, is the crown jewel of the rivalry games in the NFL. And I would put the Bears and Packers at number 2, okay? And ironically, I would put the Rams, 49ers at 3, the Steelers and Ravens at 4, and then you got to throw, I would have to say, if you're going to be honest and you just look at those games, you'd have to probably say Kansas City, Oakland would be 5. But for this game, for me, I mean, I want to believe in Washington. They're playing good defense. They're running the ball. Alex Smith is making the right decisions. But I just know better. And if their head coach was anybody other than Jay Gruden, I might be singing a different tune. I understand why the Redskins have kept Jay Gruden as long as they have. Because he's not an easy coach to hate, but he's an easy coach to be frustrated as all heck with. And here's another example. You know, the Redskins have never lost to Dallas in the postseason. But there's a problem. We're talking week 7 of the regular season. And I just, Joe Gibbs ain't the coach. It ain't George Allen. Dallas can run the ball. If Dallas can run the ball, then this game can get ugly. If they can keep Dallas's running game in check and keep those receivers in check, then it's going to come down to Dallas getting field position and whatnot. It's weird for me. I see this game being 17-3 Dallas or 24-13 Dallas. And it really depends on, are they able to run the football? Which I think they're going to be able to do late. I don't think they're going to be able to do early. I just don't think Washington has enough on offense to really, I think, penetrate that Dallas defense enough on one condition. So here's my stipulation. The Redskins win this game 24-20, or maybe they win this game 20-17, if Adrian Peterson has a big day. If Peterson's running the ball for 100 yards or more, the Redskins are going to win. But I don't think that's going to happen, and I'm going Dallas here because I think Dak is starting to get familiar with these new receivers. Tavon Austin, he's a non-factor, but Beasley is benefiting from Tavon Austin being on the field because everybody still thinks he's fast, even though I've never once seen him show speed on the football field to make me believe that he's some kind of a deep threat that you should be afraid of. I could put my nickel corner on him, man for man, and even if he does burn me, I'm going to run him down and catch him. Beasley's benefiting from that. I'm curious to see if Dallas is going to do that again when they go trips and 4 wide. If they do, lean on Austin or try to make sure they keep an eye on him because he's such a deep threat, which he isn't, I think Beasley's going to have another big day. There's a lot of stipulations here, but my gut just tells me it's going to be 24-13 Dallas. And yet another Redskins defeat against the Dallas Cowboys.
if you're going to cover a guy who is out, you don't have to worry about that because Tavon Austin is out. Listen, I've checked the injury reports in this game. There's a lot of guys who are hurt. Tavon Austin is out. Okay, so you don't have to worry about.
Well, that hurts Beasley. That definitely hurts Beasley.
I don't think so. Michael Gallup has come on. He'll be able to open up things for Beasley across the middle and whatnot as he runs his routes. Along same thing with Allen Hurns. And I know they're not like wide receivers who you're like, ooh, I'm so scared of. But if they get an open space and take what they had last week and contribute it over one more week, they could have a big game. I see this as being a Ezekiel versus Peterson game. I think you're going to see a lot of ground and pound in this game.
It's going to be a fun game.
Listen, Alex Smith is out. Paul Richardson, he's doubtful. Doesn't look like he's going to play. Jamison Crowder isn't going to play. He's out for this game. Josh Doctson has a heel injury. He's playing, but I mean, you could probably just line up all your guys and not have to worry about him because he really doesn't do much.
Right.
And Jordan Reed's going to be out there doing what he can because Jordan Reed's a beast when he's healthy.
Well, but Jordan Reed hasn't done anything this year.
He hasn't, but there's always that one game.
That's true.
Okay, that can get you going, and I expect to see a big Jordan Reed game today or this week. But then the Redskins also get Chris Thompson back, and I know you mentioned that Peterson runs wild. Redskins are gonna win, but their key is Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson can line up in the backfield, and Chris Thompson can also line up in the slot, which is gonna be huge for Washington because they're gonna need all the guys that they can get. But it's not gonna be enough. I see a ground and pound game. I see a lot of field goals being kicked because I don't see many touchdowns because the defenses are decent on both sides. And I'm about to say something, and Anthony's going to get all weird on me and be like, oh, but he's going to get hurt again. But Sean Lee is going to be back for this game, and I think that's a big addition back to the Cowboys defense. So he goes out again.
Yeah.
So I see a field goal fest. So if you have Maher or Dustin Hopkins, put them on your fantasy team because that's what it's going to be. You're going to get some field goals. I'm going very weird score. I'm going 19-12 Dallas. They're the only ones to get a touchdown.
Interesting. Very interesting. That is a weird score. I could see it, though. I mean, they are defensive teams. All right. Well, that brings us to the other rivalry game, the Rams-49ers. So I want to read some interesting things here, Eric, and then I'm going to let you do the analysis on this first, and then I'll follow up. So this is what irritates Ram fans, LA Ram fans, about St. Louis. You didn't treat our team well, and you didn't do your job. The record as the St. Louis Rams are 16-25-1 all-time against the San Francisco 49ers. As the LA Rams, they were 50-44-2. Despite a 6-game lead, you managed to put us behind the 8 ball for the first time in a long time against San Francisco because the all-time record is now 66-69-3. Now, the Rams didn't help themselves by losing at home last year on the rest all your players before the wild card game and end up losing the wild card game because of it, which I told you was going to happen. I knew it was going to backfire. It always backfires, and it backfired. The Rams are not resting starters this week. Cooper Kupp is out, which hurts, but I think it's going to be the Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods show because I think the 49ers are going to be totally committed to the running game. But this all-time series has been lopsided Rams for a long time. Keep in mind, guys, 50-44-2, or 1, whatever it was, 2, against the 49ers as the LA Rams, and that's including 17 straight losses in that timetable. Well, I guess it wasn't 17 straight because they left in 95, but you get the point. The Rams need to reclaim this rivalry, and they need to reclaim it now. So, Eric, your analysis, you do it first, and then I'll wrap it up.
So, all-time in San Francisco, because that's where this game is being played, or if you want to be technical, Santa Clara, The Niners lead this series when they play at home 34-33-2. But they've outscored the Rams by 226 points. So wow, yeah, that's a big difference there, especially points. However, in the all-time series, the Niners lead it 69-65-3. The Niners have won 4 of the last 5 games against the Rams, which is interesting because of where the Rams are going and where the Niners are going.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my analysis of the game. Goff has a big game. Gurley has a big game. Cooks has a big game. They get Tyler Higbee involved. There's a lot of points scored for San Francisco. They get up over 24, but the Rams win. There. Next.
Okay. My analysis is a little. My analysis.
It's a little bit different than that. I see what the Rams did, or the Rams. I see what the Niners did against the Packers. Okay, they were in a game that nobody had them being close in the game. Beathard played the lights out. There's a difference between the Packers defense and the Rams defense.
Yeah.
Yes, I know the Rams defense hasn't played up to par or where they should have been from a year ago. Everybody likes to compare year to year. Well, this year the Rams got 2. They didn't have them last year. And Donald has still been disruptive in the middle, but just not in the run game. But Matt Breida is going to play. I think that boosts San Francisco's offense, but I think that they're able to guard Marquise Goodwin a lot better than the Packers were able to.
Oh, yeah.
So Marcus Peters has his hands full if he's on him. But I cannot see the Niners keeping up with the Rams offense and the points that they put up.
No, dude, look. Tyler Higbee has scored, I believe, 2 touchdowns in his NFL career. You might want to check me on that, Eric. I think it's like 2 or 3. But he scored at least 2 of those 3, if not both of his touchdowns have come against the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm looking for Higbee to have a surprisingly good game. He seems to find an opening against his team. Look, I think he has to be a bigger part of the offense with Kupp out. And I think that, he's on the field enough. He's got to start finding ways to get open. Todd Gurley's going to get his. Jared Goff is going to throw the ball over the lot. I think he's going to have a career day, to say the very least, because I think the 49ers are going to be so committed to the run. But the difference couldn't be clearer here. I don't think that this game is going to be – I won't be surprised if the Rams beat the 49ers 37 or 38-3, if they even score a field goal. I'm not saying Arizona Cardinals can't cross midfield until 22 seconds to go in the game kind of dominance, but I can see the Rams getting – I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I think that the Rams get 3 interceptions in this game. I think Peters gets 1. I think Johnson gets 1. And either Joyner is going to get 1 or Peters is going to get 2. But I think it's going to be that kind of a game. I think that Sue is going to get a sack in this game. I think that Donald is going to get a sack in this game. But you know who I think is going to really, really pop on the screen and surprise a lot of people in this one is Sam Shields. I think Sam Shields is going to surprise everyone when he completely locks down that side of the field, because it's a good matchup for him against the receiver. You just said his name. I'm blanking. Goodwin. He matches up well with Goodwin. They're similar height. They're similar speed. And he's a veteran. So I think that's going to be an advantage for him if that is the matchup. And then this way you could just float Peters around, whoever. But I just think that the Rams are going to dominate this game from whistle to whistle. And they need to, because this is a football team last year they barely beat when they had no business barely beating them, and then lost to when they had no business losing to them. So for the Ramily, we need a big win here, not just because it's the 49ers, but to send a message to San Francisco that you are not a quarterback away from competing with us. You're not. So knock it off.
So Higbee has 3 career touchdowns, 1 against the Niners, 1 against the Giants,
One against
this year against the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals. That's what he got 1 against the Giants last year.
He did. Yep.
I thought it was the 49ers he scored on.
Yeah, he scored on the 49ers back in 16.
Yeah, that was his rookie year. That was the 22-21 game.
Right.
I thought he scored one against them last year in San Fran. I guess not. Okay. Well, he has a touchdown against the Niners, so maybe he can get it. Maybe that's what it is. He's going to get his second one this year. I can feel it. So, and he better because I have to start him.
Put him on your fantasy team. Pick him up.
I already got him. Graham's on a bye week. Yeah. I'm in that kind of trouble. So, let's see. Cincinnati, Kansas City. Really fascinating series between these two. I remember a game in '86 that the Bengals played against Kansas City that was just a crazy game where there was like defensive touchdowns, special teams touchdowns, back and forth, and Cincinnati, I think they pulled that one out if I remember correctly. But I'm curious about this one because I think that this is, to me, this is the best game of the week, and I'm glad they put it on Sunday night. Eric, I'm going to let you do your analysis on this one, and then I'll cover it. But go ahead and tell us what the series is.
Bengals lead this series 15 wins to 13 losses and have won the last 4 games against these in this series, and 5 of the last 6. I'm excited for this game because the Chiefs finally get to go up against the defense.
Yeah.
And I say that because I think another defense that they're going to face would be the second time that they face them this year is when later in the year they play the Chargers. Because I like the Chargers defense. They should have posted back for that game, which I think could provide dividends. But alas, they're on the Bengals. The Bengals have a much better defense than they're given credit for. This is the best defense that the Chiefs will face this year. So I don't expect this video game, football game being played to where all of a sudden you blink your eye and they put up 40 points in 2 minutes. Okay? This isn't your Patriots defense. This isn't the Steelers defense. This is actually a legit NFL defense that I want to see how they go against. Only because I'm going up against 4 Chiefs in fantasy this week too.
Yeah.
So with that being said, not that I'm bitter about that or anything, but I still see a Kansas City win because I think that Hunt and Hill and Kelsey and Mahomes are too much for Cincy's defense. However, Cincy's offense will be able to score at will. I just think with the crowd noise, with how back and forth this game is going to be, that Andy Dalton will provide that one turnover at the worst possible moment that has plagued him throughout his career in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think it comes back to haunt him. But this is a great test for Cincinnati. Yes, it puts them back in the division, especially with Pittsburgh being on a bye, and especially if Baltimore wins. But I see another semi-high scoring game, more like 30-24 or 30-27. Chiefs win.
So it's funny that you said that, and I'm sitting here and I'm just shaking my head and I'm laughing. I got a smirk on my face because I think that the Bengals are going to avoid that very thing. And the way they're going to avoid that very thing is it's going to be the fourth quarter. The Bengals are going to be up by one touchdown. I'm thinking 34-27 Cincinnati. And the crowd's going to be into it. The Chiefs are going to have all 3 timeouts. It's going to be 3rd and 3. And Marvin Lewis is going to do something that's going to make me leap out of my seat and go nuts. Because, let me rephrase that. They're going to have 1 timeout. It's going to be 3rd and 3. And he's going to make, finally, a call that's going to make me leap out of my seat and go, thank you for being smart. Because he's going to hand the ball off to Joe Mixon, who's going to rip a 7-yard gain and end it on the ground. I think that this is going to be Joe Mixon's moment. He is playing, right? Please don't tell me he's injured.
No, he's playing. Bernard is out. I do agree that Mixon will have a big game. Actually, I was going to say after you were done that Mixon's going to have about 150 yards rushing.
See, if that's the case, the Bengals are going to win this game. Because I think they're just going to lean on him in the fourth quarter. Because they, look, for all the reasons you said a second ago, E, they need this game. Like, the Steelers are on a bye. The Ravens would have already won earlier in the day against New Orleans. There's no room for wiggle here. They've got to put the – and I know what the media is going to say. Oh, game's on the line and they didn't rely on Andy Dalton. No, they put the ball in the hot hand, which is what you should do. It doesn't mean Andy Dalton's any less of a quarterback because you ran the ball on 3rd and 3 with a guy averaging 7 yards a damn carry or 5 yards a carry, whatever it's going to be.
Pick up the red rifle in fantasy.
Yeah, right? Seriously. I think he's going to have a good game. But I think Mixon is the difference here because the Chiefs don't have a way to stop the run. And if the Patriots can do to you on the ground what they did with an inferior running back, I don't want to imagine what the Chiefs are going to do or going to experience with a legitimate running back. I like Mahomes.
Hold on. Not inferior. Rookie running back. And, Joe Mixon's only in his second year, too. So don't make him sound like...
Well, I just don't think that Sony Michel is going to end up on the same plane as Joe Mixon when all is said and done.
Well, no, because the Patriots go through running backs like fish go through water.
Well, that and Tom Brady's going to retire soon. And we'll see what Sony Michel can do with no quarterback behind him.
Come on, Brian Hoyer's the next Sam Darnold.
Brian Hoyer's your boy! Sam Darnold. Shut up with Sam Darnold. Greatest quarterback of all time. All right, look. I think it's going to be a friggin' great game. I don't normally watch the Sunday night games. In fact, this year I have watched exactly one Sunday night game. The only one that I watched was New England at Detroit. And I don't even know why I watched that game. I think it's because I had to, because I had a guy in fantasy that I was going against it. I need to make sure he didn't have a good game, and he didn't. But it didn't matter. I still lost because of the Monday night game. But anyway, I digress. But this is the first one I'm actively watching and I want to see. I think it's going to be a great game. And I know the Rams got flexed out in replacement of this game. And I won't be surprised if the Rams get flexed into this game next week, although it would be tough to remove New Orleans at Minnesota. But for Green Bay at LA, I think they might. We'll see what happens here, but I think it's going to be a big day for Joe Mixon, and I think it's going to be the difference. I got the Bengals winning that one 34-27. Look, the last game to talk about, the Giants at the Falcons. The Giants aren't as bad as their record indicates. I do like their quarterback or their head coach, but the Falcons are going to tear this offense to shreds, or this defense to shreds. Do you agree?
The Giants are worse than their record. The Giants shouldn't even have a win. The series is tied all time at 12. The Falcons won their last meeting in 2015. The Giants won in 14. Falcons won in 12. And then in the playoffs, the Giants reeled off their fourth straight win from 2006 to 2012. Is that 2012 January game was a playoff game where the Giants won 24-2.
Yeah.
So I expect the Falcons to be throwing a lot because I think they want to see Matt Ryan throw to Ridley, who's expected to play, throw to Sanu, who's expected to play, throw to Julio Jones. You know, it'd be nice if Julio Jones actually found the end zone a couple of times. Touchdown percentage is the lowest in the NFL as far as catches and yards to touchdowns, which gets your big guy in the end zone for crying out loud. Devonta Freeman's on IR. He's going to miss 8 weeks, so they're going to rely on Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith. Hey, what a coming out party this would be for Tevin Coleman to just run off 100 yards plus and a couple of touchdowns. But alas, that's not what the Falcons do.
Yeah.
Falcons like to throw the ball because they have Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan likes to throw to his boys, Cooper included.
Yep.
The Giants too. You're going to see some explosive plays in this game on the Giants' offensive side of the ball because I'm going to say it until the horse is dead and I make enough Elmer's glue, but their defense stinks. So expect Odell Beckham Jr. to have a in a touch to great, well over 100 yards in a touch or two.
Yeah.
Eli's going to be able to find space for him. Now, I'm not saying Eli's going to throw deep, but Eli's going to throw those short to medium depth passes, and you're going to see Odell actually take one to the house, and maybe even Barkley too. Barkley should have a big game as well.
Yeah.
And this is going to be close at halftime. It's going to be a one-score game at halftime, but Falcons take off in the second half. Falcons take off, sorry.
Yeah.
Pun intended. So I'm looking at a 41-27 game, kind of like the Bears Patriots.
I had 38-24. I had 38-24 Falcons. So, all righty. Well, is there anything you want to add in our parting shot? We're done.
Yeah, stop firing defensive or offensive coordinators and start firing your head coaches.
Yeah, no.
I think next week I'm going to start taking a look and go through team by team who's on the hot seat, who's not. Usually those chatters start to creep up when you least expect them. But Vance Joseph saved himself 10 extra days by whooping up on the Cardinals. So the chatter is going to quiet down until they play their next game, which is against the Chiefs. So that chatter will pick back up.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that next week when we're almost halfway through the season, and basically see from there and take a look at some standings and see who can make a run in the second half and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where we rank as far as our predictions show that we did in the beginning of the year. But look, guys, enjoy this weekend. It's if you're a Ram fan, it's rivalry weekend. If you're a Redskin or Cowboy or even 49er fan, I guess, it's rivalry weekend. This is what it's all about. These are the games that I don't look forward to playing, but cannot stop watching. So, and I can't look forward to them because they're always nerve-wracking, and it ruins my week when the Rams lose to the Niners. I am an abysmal human being to be around when those things happen. I'm used to unfortunately, with Washington, it's just par for the course. But my wife is a rather the Irish Banshee comes out when they lose to Dallas. So for the sake of my well-being for the next week, both our teams need to win this game. No, but alas, I don't think they both will. So enjoy the games; they're going to be fun.
You act the way I like when the Bears lose to the Packers.
Yeah. All right, go Rams!
Go Bears!
Horns up!
Bear.
Wait, what?
Bear down.
There you go. I was like, what? All right, guys, have a good one.